Hey there ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Love Life Vape. Today I'm going to be showing you a very simple coil build for my Dark Horse, or you could stick it in any 3-post RDA that you want. You're going to need, here's a few things. This is my vapes toolbox, this is my vape box. This has everything I need in it to build a coil, or just to store some stuff. I'll quickly show you what I've got inside here. First of all, kanthal. Always going to need kanthal. What I normally wrap my coils on, it's probably about 3 mils in diameter. A blowtorch, yeah? Definitely going to need one of them. Pliers or tweezers. I use pliers because I haven't got no tweezers. Wire clippers to clip your kanthal. Screwdriver to screw down your posts on your audio. What else have I got here? Let's see. Ohm meter. Definitely going to need one of them. Your box. Going to need that. Batteries. They're in my box already, but that's okay. And your RDA. Is there anything else I need in there? Oh yes, of course. A wad of cotton. A wad of cotton. So I'm going to put that here as well. And that's everything in my vapors box that we'll need today to build this coil. First things first, I'm going to I'll use my ohm meter to screw your RDA on your ohm meter, and this will be a start for a good platform to build this coil. So we're just going to oik off that part, just put that down, and we're going to build this coil that's on here already. And I hope, like I say, laptop camera is really rubbish. Cannot find my digital camera, otherwise I'd take a picture of, nice macro, nice close up. But this is basically, I'll show you the wires I'm using. This is stainless steel 24 gauge wire, and I'm also going to be using in this coil tutorial ribbon kanthal. This is 5mm wide, or 0.5mm wide by 0.1mm thick. So it's very, very thin, very, very not wide at all, but it's still ribbon wire. So there we go. I was hoping to get some wider, but my local shop has not got any wider than this. It's the widest they have. So what I'm going to be doing, I think it's called a Clapton coil, where you wrap a wire around a straight piece, and then that's your wrap. That's your coil wraps. I'm going to be using stainless steel and kanthal mixture. It's quite interesting. I've had a go on this already. I've built one, as you just saw. Absolutely, it's a pure flavour build. It has to be, because the flavours are just essential. Clouds are alright on it, to be fair, but it is definitely a flavour build. It's dual coil as well, and it comes in at 2 ohms. I'm hoping to build this one. Probably I'm going to try 3 ohms because I want to run it on a lower on a lower watts than I'm currently running the one I've previously built. I'm kind of running that on 70 watts. And do you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you what it vapes like, just so you see. Before I pull this out and destroy it, because I want to show you guys how to do it, how to build it. Whoop. Oh man, this thing's soggy. I did not realise how saturated it was. So yeah, I'm running this at 70 watts. And it's 2 ohms, exactly 2 ohms on here, on my ohm meter. It came in exactly, didn't even fluctuate or anything. It literally was dead on 2 ohms as soon as I tightened down on those posts. Magic. So this is basically what it looks like. So once again, I do apologise that my background isn't optimal for looking at clouds and stuff, so lovely plumes. They're quite cloudy, to be fair, but then again, like I say, I'm running on 70 watts for 2 ohms, so that's just kind of reduced the heat up time. Stainless steel heats up really quickly anyway, but of course I've got that kanthal wrapped around it, and it's ribbon, so it probably takes that a little bit longer. But even with the stainless steel, I haven't really experimented. I'll try 60 watts. So they're still quite nice. Still quite nice indeed. But still, I prefer 70 watts. The golden rule for me is 4 volts. Yeah? I generally vape on 4 volts or, you know, the equivalent in wattage. Right, so let's actually get to building this thing, shall we? First things first, I'm going to take the old coil out. I'm going to cut this bit out so you ain't going to have to sit there and watch me. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. I've emptied my dark quartz RDA and I've cleaned it out. You know, just wiped all the excess juice off. That's nice and dry. I ain't going to have slippery fingers whilst I'm building this thing. I'm going to prop that down. And the first thing we want to do is get your 24 gauge stainless steel. If you're using kanthal, you can use kanthal. It doesn't matter. I'm generally using 24 gauge though. You can use any other gauge. You want to go thicker, you can go thicker, but then again you're going to need less wraps. If you want to go thinner, you can still go thinner, not a problem. But I'm using 24 gauge. So I'm just going to unravel me some. Alright, and I will be showing you how to straighten this thing out. I promise. That much. What's that? That's about 12 inches maybe? Yeah, 12 inches of kanthal. Stainless steel wire, so to say. Right, you're probably thinking, you can probably see this as well, man. This is probably mangled up as hell, right? I will be showing you how to straighten this, how I straighten any wire that I use. And you're going to need a drill. Now, I've got my battery on charge here. I'm going to stick this in. Right, and then I'm just going to whack my piece of stainless steel wire in there. Tighten down that chuck. Nice and tight, so it ain't going to come out. Get your pliers or any other, you know, crimpers that are going to hold this thing nice and straight. Bear with me whilst I put this here. So I'm going to clamp the very end of this. Right, clamp it as hard as I can, and then I'm going to put some tension on it and just twist. See that kink? Go. And that's it, look at that. Yes, it's a bit flexible, of course, but it's straight. It's nice and straight now. It's that simple. If you've got a drill, you can straighten kanthal in seconds. No fiddling about with your fingers and your hands. No siree. So that's how I straighten kanthal. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this out just briefly, but I will be using the drill again. So undo the chuck. Put that down there quick. You can see now this is lovely and straight. All the kinks are gone. Lovely and straight. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so that's how I straighten kanthal. And it puts a nice little pattern on the wire actually. I'm looking at it. So put that down for a sec. I'm going to get my ribbon wire. And you generally want twice the length of the wire you've just pulled out. So I'm going to go full arm's length for this, just so I've got excess, got enough. Bear with me whilst I actually do this properly. Full arm's length. Yeah, like that. That's how much I want. Wire cutters once again. Trim that. Get your stainless steel or your kanthal wire, your normal standard wire. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my ribbon wire. I'm just going to twist it around this end by hand. Just twist it around, doesn't really matter, it's fine. And then I'm going to put it back in my drill. Loosen up my chuck. Put that bad boy in there. So that the ribbon wire and my stainless steel 24 gauge is clamped in there nice and tightly. They're not going to come out. You know, you can pull on them, they're not going to be loose. nice and tight. And then my next thing I do is with my drill, I get my ribbon wire and I just pull it to one side and have it so the ribbon is flat to the wire, if that makes sense. And the next thing I do, now this is the interesting part, is I give it a couple of whirls and then just do this. Your finger flows a bit, you don't even have to pull. I'm going to take this out now. I'll hopefully show you guys what it looks like. Bear with me while I put the drill down. So here we are. I've got my twisted ribbon wire around my stainless steel. Now I know my camera's really poo, but if you could see that, you can't really. But there's slight pattern in it. It's lovely. So, like I say, I've got myself some excess ribbon here. You know, so I can cut that off and use that for something else. No problem. That's a good thing about, you know, having a toolbox. You can just put all your spare bits in your toolbox. Also, I'm going to clip this end, but we hand twisted because it's untidy. So when it's just tidy again, bam. Okay, so now I have about, well, yeah, I think it's 12 inches, roughly 12 inches. Let's say, yeah, 12. We're going to call it 12 inches because I haven't got a ruler and I'm going to be able to measure it. 30 centimeters of stainless steel 24 gauge wire with kanthal ribbon wire wrapped all the way up it. Yeah. So I'm guessing you could call this a Clapton coil. Yeah, because it's wire wrapped around wire. That's a Clapton, right? It's all very neat, very tidy, even spacing. One thing I've noticed though, I've slightly worn the skin off my fingers, but it wasn't painful. It didn't hurt. It was pretty comfortable. Like I say, there was no tension. My hand just literally flowed. It flowed. It had to go. Like it didn't have a choice. It just went, and all the way to the end. So it's a very simple coil in that aspect. It's very, very simple. Right. Now I mentioned a blowtorch earlier. Right. So I've got my blowtorch, and what I'm going to do is what some people do and some people don't do. Is basically I'm going to torch this wire, make it, you know, red hot at least once all the way through the wire. I'm not going to burn it to a cinder, just red hot. And that should do it. And now what's that's going to do is going to set, you know, you could say it sets the memory of the wire. And do be careful, yes, because it still will be hot. But it does cool down quite quickly, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So this is going to make it less flexible. Yeah, it should make it a bit more rigid whilst I'm wrapping. But stainless steel is quite flexible and quite springy anyway, and so is ribbon wire. That's one thing I've noticed when building coils with these new types of ribbon that I haven't tried just yet, is they're very, very flexible. Whereas kanthal, generally, you wrap it and it stays there. You know, no faffing about. Anyway, on to the wrapping. Just like you would with any normal kanthal, I'm just going to get my wrapping tool. This is what I use. You know, place one end under my thumb, and I'm going to just wrap that, easy. I'm going to go for probably 6 wraps. I went for 7 wraps last time. I'm going to go for 6 wraps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, like one thing you'll notice, look, if I show you, whoop, it's springy, yeah. So let's just have a quick count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I've got 6 reps there. I count the amount. I don't go what's in between the 2 ends. I count every piece So, you know, if I've got 2 lead wires coming out here, that top one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the bottom one is also 6. So it's 6. I call that 6 wraps. You might not think that's the case, but that's just the way I build. It's the way I remember, you know, how to make my coils, and you know, keep my coils all the same size and all that jazz. So I'm just going to pull this, make it as tight as possible. You know, make sure that one thing I might do, and it's not a bad idea, to get your pliers. Right, pull on one end, make the coil tight around the post, yeah? Pull on the other end, and then clamp them two together, like this. Pull that off. Right, so it doesn't unflex. Get your blowtorch again. So this is what some people generally do anyway. Just not too much, just enough to get it hot all the way around so you're not melting any wire. That's it, so it's all red. It was red. Yeah. Let that cool down before you touch it. Stick it back on your post if you want. See how it's not unflexed, it's stayed. That's what we're looking for. So yes, it's still slightly too hot for me to touch, but that's okay. Alright, so now I'm basically just going to clip that end off. Like so. And that's my second piece to wrap my second coil. So you can see it's slightly untidy, yeah? It's very untidy, but we can fix that. We can fix that on the deck, it's fine. Not a problem. Right, second wrap. Same thing, yeah? Just wrap it five, 6 times. So there we have it. 2 coils. Slightly untidy, but that's fine because we can fix that. Like I said, where they're flexible and everything else, they're gonna be slightly untidy and unsprung as such. Another thing you could do if you really want to make it tidy before you put it in, just clamp it very, very lightly between some pliers or your tweezers, and if you've got ceramic tweezers, this will work. Just clamp it so the wires are pressed together. Once again, get your blowtorch and just warm that up. Too much. So it just starts to begin to glow red, and that should set the metal. It should set the metal, and if not, you can always tweak it on your device, you know, by pulsing, clamping with some tweezers, you know, to really get it neat, because it hasn't stayed perfectly, but it's better. Make sure not to melt my laptop. I normally have a cup of water, and as soon as you know, that helps as well slightly, you know. I'm just going to reform this on the post. Make sure they're all nice and the same diameter all the way through, which I think they are. Yeah, and they're not loose on there, which is nice. Tweak my little post ends a little bit. I know this is going to run on slightly. I'm at 20 minutes already. I'm going to cut a lot out, so that's okay. So, once you've got your 2 coils, they're ready to be inserted onto your deck. So I'm going to go for the nicest one first, because this one is pretty neat and tidy. So I'm going to go with my long lead. It's going to go in my negative, and my short lead is going to my positive. Long lead in, short lead in. Of course, get your wrapping device, whatever you wrapped it on, keep that inserted onto your coil. Keep things obviously nice and tidy whilst you're inserting this thing. I like to get my pliers and just tug and tug on the other side as well, just to get that nice and tight in there. Make sure that these two coils are in there nice and even as possible. You know, tug on the wires a little bit, get them in there nicely, as close as I can, without obviously touching the deck as such. Bear down on that middle post, that positive post. You will find that they may distort in shape slightly, but it's fine. Once again, we can fix it. We can fix it. So these leads are a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to wiggle and snap. This is a little bit easier that way. And it gets it right close to the end as well. Okay, maybe the ribbon's keeping it from doing it, so clip, that's that one gone. And of course, when you do this, when you do dual coil on a 3-post RDA, make sure that you're not going to clip the wrong one and your coil is going to come out. So now that they're all in there, I've got no leading wires hanging out, no leading wires hanging out. I'm going to tidy it all up with my wrapping tool. Just maybe what I do is I put my thumb on and just pull her out, pull her towards me, and that should help realign all the coils and straighten her out. Push her down a bit, that kind of thing. I don't want her too high up the deck. Same on the other side. Get her in. You can see there she's wonky. Get her in, push her down, thumb on, pull towards me. Just give a bit of tension on there. And there we are. She's straight, both sides. We're just going to quickly check the resistance. Oh, I need to bear down, I think. Wow. Okay. So it says here 0.16. Alright then, we'll go with that. 0.16. Why not? Now I'm going to take this off my ohmmeter, stick her on my device. £40. I'm just going to pulse that. You see the smoke? Don't inhale that. Whatever you do. Start to glow. Keep pulsing, yeah. And then with your pliers / tweezers, whatever you're using, don't press the button whilst you're doing it though. Just try and neaten them up as best as you can. You want them to glow evenly. Both sides are supposed to be glowing the same. We are. They're glowing equally. And you see how they're glowing from the inside outwards. So that's another thing you want. And they're glowing much more evenly now. That's fantastic. Just give them a little bit more of a squeeze. So that's done. Cool. Let them cool down. Go grab yourself a cup of tea whilst they cool down, because they do stay hot for a fair bit. And then obviously you're going to need to get your cotton ready. So basically this is how much cotton I would use. It's about 1 centimetre in thickness all the way around. Not too thick though. It's quite fluffy. Obviously I can roll this down to a thinner, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it thin. I'm just going to pull out one end. Right, so I can then get nice thin. You know, to get it nice and thin. And that way I can put it through my coils. Like that. He says. And there we go. That's through one coil. I just gently pull that all the way through until this end is short, very short indeed. And then what I'll do is I'll get my wrapping tool, because it's not a screwdriver, it's just pointy, it's like a shiv. I'll fluff that up a little bit. Sorry, I'm not a shot. I'm just going to wrap that underneath the coil. Oh, you probably can't see what I'm doing. Terrible angles here. Leaving it nice and fluffy, making sure that there's no cotton on the top of the coil, only underneath and on the sides. Right, and then you could use a pair of scissors, but I'm just going to tear it because I'm lazy. But I think tearing it keeps it fluffy. That's what we want, nice and fluffy. I like it fluffy. Just pull that off, and that should be enough for your second coil. Right, so now I've teared this off. This should be enough for your second coil, and I'm just going to tidy this up. Once again, I'm going to use this tool. So that's that. She's all wicked up now, and the next step is obviously juice. I'm using this. It's Premium Blends. I don't know exactly. It's got like R&D written on this little seal thing, but it's basically shortcakes with a Z, and it's strawberry shortcake cake. It's lovely. I wish you could smell it through the TV screen, but you can't. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a lovely smell. Love it. So I'm just gonna saturate my coils a lot. There should be enough cotton in here to really soak up lots and lots of juice. So yeah, shortcakes. Look this thing up, it is delicious. It is the most flavoursome vape I've had in a long time. So yeah, if you do want to tidy them up, get your device. Any loose ends, just poke them in, because now they're wet, they kind of stick together, all the threads and stuff, so easy to tidy up. So ain't all hanging out of your device and getting deep into that deck, to the well. And there we are. So once you've done all that, you're basically ready to go. Make sure that your air holes are lined up with the coils. And I am. Let's whack her up to, look, saying that, it's coming up at 0.3 ohms here, so I'm going to go for 0.3 ohms. This is what I was aiming for. That's what I said I was going to go for. So I'm going to whack the device up till it says 3.9, and it's coming up 45.5 watts. That's quite impressive for 45.5 watts. Nice big cloud there. I'm going to whack it up, of course, to a preferable vape in my opinion. I'm going to go 50 watts, see how that is. I'm going 50 watts. Still cool, it's cool as anything. And the flavour, like I said, I mean, the flavour is delicious anyway, but with this build, it's pure flavour build, I'm sure of it. It's just getting on all those crevices, and it's just lovely. Probably got 60 watts now. 65, it's gone up to 65, let's go 65. Why not? So 65 watts, people. It's lovely. I'm going slightly dry, but that's okay. Just top that bad boy up with some juice. Kind of worried about my smoke alarm that I've got in this room. It's yeah, it's definitely one that can get set off by one of these, I tell you now. So obviously be careful if you're vaping indoors and you do have yourself a smoke alarm, because they can be set off. So blow toward the floor, because it will settle on the floor anyway, because it's dense. You'll be fine there. That's lovely. Go 70 watts. So that's how you build my version of a Clapton. It's 24 gauge kanthal. It's 24 gauge stainless steel with kanthal ribbon wire wrapped around it. So that is that, people. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you can build this coil for yourself and really experience that flavour that you can get from juice. It is absolutely lovely. And on that note, I will see you very soon.